So we're here on the sidelines of ADIPEC, 10,000 delegates, some of the big names in the industry that you've been speaking to, Steve, as well, in terms of the energy ministers. But I have to talk about the natural gas element here, because Adnoc, of course, has developed a master plan. They're going to increase their production by as much as 7%, which is incredible. And this is something that's not just happening in the UAE. This is something that Saudi Arabia is very focused on as well. Yeah,
I think it's great that you talk about gas as kind of like maybe even less controversial than oil in some ways, but it's not, is it? In fact, gas is, I would suggest, even more controversial in some ways as well. You look at Europe gas supply as well. The president, Mr. Trump, desperate for LNG ports, for US exports there. The Russians want Nord Stream 2 to supply more gas to Europe as well. And of course, the president was saying, hang on a second, we defend you guys in Europe, and yet you buy Russian gas. So that's controversial. And on a completely different level, I was at an event in Barcelona quite recently called Gas Tech, and the big thing they're all worried about is gas a transmission fuel for the transition to a lower economy world, or is it a destination fuel as well? And I think people are scratching their head about that one, especially with key clients, including China. If China can do their own LNG one day, which they can't at the moment, does that change everything?
Absolutely. And I think for Saudi Arabia in particular, we know, of course, that Saudi Arabia is the #4, I think, consumer of their own energy, which, I mean, this is a country that half of the year it's over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is something that isn't going to change.
Yeah. Oh, it's like in my house. If you gave me 100 jelly babies and said, distribute them, I would eat 52 of those jelly babies, because that's who I am, because I've got them for nothing off you. But if you said to me, I'm going to start charging you a lot more for those jelly babies, I'm going to start taxing them, maybe my consumption would go down. And that is the problem with consuming nations. That is the problem with all nations blessed with basic resources. We've seen it in Venezuela. We see problems in Brazil. We've seen problems in Nigeria. Any nation that is blessed with a natural resource which is basically free, it's very hard to say to people, we're going to tax it because it's not good for the world, when actually it's the one thing you can give to your populations.
Absolutely. And it's going to be really interesting how that changes the dynamics regionally, because we've seen Qatar with these natural elements for a long time now, all of these natural resources, and what that's done for their economy. But certainly here in the UAE in particular, that's really changing the game, because it means that they're having to develop an entirely new or broader port system to support it.
Well, I mean, that's controversial as well, as you know, because there's a stunning port which I drove past, the Dubai airport, on the way out. And I first went there, oh gosh, about 12 years ago. It's called Jebel Ali, and it's the big port for the region as well. But then the UAE decided, the Abu Dhabi decided they wanted Kizad. They wanted a bigger port as well. So then you find yourself replicating resources. But then Qatar says, well, we want a big port as well. And the Saudis want one, and the Bahrainis as well. So suddenly you get a situation where you're trying to diversify away from oil and gas. You want to add extra services, you want to add petrochemicals, you want to add trade services, you want to add commerce services, but you find a huge replication, and that's something you're finding all the time, because you're well placed in this region to see the competition between all these people.
Absolutely, and it's not, of course, just when it comes to oil and gas, is it? It's in just about everything. We've got competing airlines, we've also got competing financial centers, so there are a lot of conversations, I think, that are continuing, and I think even increasing now, about how you consolidate. Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now, to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.